Okay, so it's yogurt making time. Right here I have a gallon's worth of milk heating up on the stove. You want to use organic milk that doesn't have any hormones or anything added. Local is awesome, but it's very expensive. I find that just getting the milk at Costco, the organic milk at Costco works great. And so I'm going to be using this thermometer to keep checking in on the temperature. I'll be checking it regularly, trying to get it up to 190 degrees. So that's the goal there. In the meantime, what I've done is I prepared my yogurt base. We need a half of a cup of yogurt. So this is from my last batch. I know it looks kind of gross, but it came out of my last batch. And it tasted wonderful. It had perfect consistency. I'm going to use that for this batch. So I just have that ready to go. And then over here I have my jars. They've all been cleaned and sanitized. I put them in the dishwashing cycle on extra high, or if you have a high temperature setting, that will disinfect everything. And then I'm going to have my sink ready to go. In this sink, in just a moment or two, I'm going to add some cold water and some ice for my cool bath. So once I get the temperature of the milk up to 190 degrees, I'm going to take it off of the stove and put it in an ice bath and bring it down to 110. So that's what we're going with. So sit tight, I'll be right back. Okay, so I just stirred my milk. I've been doing that fairly regularly, and I'm just going to check the temperature. So I want you to kind of sit tight with me so you can kind of see where we're at in terms of temperature. And you just do this periodically until it gets up to where you want it to be. So I can see that it's climbing. Looks like we are at, each of those little lines next to the 100 is 5 degrees. So we're at 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, about 135, 140 degrees right now. So I'll be back shortly to check back in. Okay, so we're starting to get close here. It's been up 5 minutes, and you'll notice the milk is starting to look like it's going to boil, and we are at, Aiden, can you turn that just a little bit? We are at about 185, almost 190. So we are going to transition this and move it over to our cool water bath. Okay, so now I've got the milk that had come up to 190 degrees. I now have it in my sink in a cool ice bath, and we're going to be bringing that down to about 105, 110 degrees. Over here, I just set myself up. I have a little strainer configuration. When we're done and we want to put it into the jars and we're ready for that, I like to strain it just because sometimes there's just a little film, of maybe burnt milk at the bottom of the pan, and we don't want that to go into the jars with the yogurt. So that's why I strain it. And then over here, I'm going to get this pot of water going on high, and I'm going to end up filling up these 2 jars with hot water. These 2 jars are going to go in with the other jars of yogurt in this cooler, and they're going to stay there overnight when we're finished. So we will, whoa, my cat almost knocked over that. See, look at how it's hanging on to the very edge. Pretty awesome. Good job, Stevie. Hi, Stevie. So anyway, this will incubate overnight. It can go for 6 to 12 hours, but we put the hot water jars in there to keep the temperature up overnight while it incubates. So sit tight. When we're ready to go to the next step, I will be right back. We're waiting for this to come down in temperature. Okay, so we've been stirring this and watching it, and we are at 110. So I'm going to empty the water out, and then I'm going to mix in my starter from my last batch of yogurt. So sit tight. Let's record. Okay, so here's my starter. I'm going to add this in, and it's a half a cup for every gallon. So if you decided to do a half a gallon of yogurt, then you would just cut this in half. You would just use a 1/4 cup of the yogurt. So the yogurt for your starter will be from your last batch, or you can get one from me if you want to, or you can go to Sprouts or Whole Foods and you can buy organic plain yogurt, no sugar added. So that's my starter. And then I'm gonna mix these in. I'm gonna just whisk it. Sorry, we have shadow here because it's nighttime. I like to do mine at night because then it can sit overnight and I can put it in the fridge, run the kids to school when I get back from taking them in that hour or whatever. A lot of times my yogurt will be ready. So these bubbles, you'll see some little bubbles that form, and they actually may sit on the top of your jars, but don't worry about it, it's not a big deal. So when you have your set yogurt, if you notice there's some little bubbles on top, it's just from this. Okay, and so then I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna strain some through my little strainer. So it's coming over here. So I'm just gonna do kind of a little at a time. It makes it easier, more manageable, and that way as I strain it, if there's any lumpy stuff in there, this time I didn't really, I had a little bit, it gets strained out. And then I'm just gonna pour this into jars. And so this is gonna be yogurt tomorrow morning. Pretty cool. So you're just gonna fill it almost all the way to the top. If you think you'll go through yogurt quickly, big jars are great, but if you don't go through it quickly, then I suggest little jars just so it lasts longer. And so I'm gonna fill up all these jars that same way. So sit tight and we'll show you the finished jars in a moment. Okay, so here's all of our jars of yogurt ready to go. We are just about done heating up the water here. And then we're going to put it in these jars and they're going to all go together into the cooler and sit overnight. It's not hot enough yet, so just pause. Okay, so our hot water is ready. So we're just gonna pour hot water into our jars. This is gonna keep the temperature up for us overnight while it's in the cooler. You could really just use one jar, but I always use two because I like to make sure that the temperature stays up overnight. And then these are gonna go, ooh, be careful when you touch these. These are gonna go with me into here. Okay, so now I'm just gonna close this up for overnight. And then voila, tomorrow morning we will have fresh yogurt. Okay, so good morning. I put this in here at about 10 o'clock last night. It's 7 o'clock now, so it's been in about 9 hours. There's a lot of moisture in here, no big deal. You can just wipe that down. But let me just show you. Here's our yogurt. And you can see, oops, there goes the water, that it has completely set. So we're gonna have awesome yogurt. I'm gonna put it in the fridge. And a little while later, I will show you how fantastic it is when I eat it. So here it is, our final yogurt. Just open this up and I just want to show you the awesome consistency of this yogurt. You can see there's some bubbles on top from when we poured the milk in, but it's fantastic. So, no sugar added, 100% organic, no hormones or anything bad for you, and then you can make it however you like to make it. I like to put granola on it and then add some fruit. Some people like to add a little honey on top or some agave to sweeten it up. Enjoy it how you like it. Thanks for watching.